the defining shows of this show, right? This is going to be one of the defining days of this show, because it's easy to have a sports show when you say lots of things that people agree with. In fact, any radio show, any TV show, when you say lots of things that people agree with, that's not hard. When you have to say something that nobody wants to hear, that's tougher. And nobody wants to hear that Russell Westbrook, he ain't the MVP. Right? I've had friends on Twitter just raving about Russell Westbrook. And I have friends all over the sports media raving about Russell Westbrook. And I'm reading articles from people that I like and think that are very smart people. People that I wouldn't say that I'm smarter than them. Right? Really intelligent people raving about Russell Westbrook, because Russell Westbrook did a thing last night. He did a very bad thing. He scored 58 points. It's absurd. And I say this because I suppose I have to preface this because I don't want to come off as a hater, which is exactly where you get shoehorned in this entire thing. Like, oh, you don't like Russell Westbrook. I love Russell Westbrook. I love watching Russell Westbrook play basketball. On the list of players in the league that I would like to sit down and watch play basketball on a nightly basis, Russell Westbrook is always in the top 3. Always. I watch Russell Westbrook games all the time, okay? I watch him play. I like to watch the Wizards play. That's my team that I root for, so I end up watching a lot of John Wall. That's the guy, right, that I watch. And also kind of rounding out my top 3 is, like, I cannot actually get over the existence of Isaiah Thomas in the NBA. So, like, I have a group of guys that I like to watch. I'm a big fan of watching guards. I just think it's a pretty looking game when Steph and Isaiah and James Harden are playing. I enjoy watching guards a little bit more than I like watching forwards. So like watching Russell Westbrook play, I enjoy it. I'm not saying this to just hate on Russell Westbrook, but he ain't the MVP. He's not the MVP. Like, he just isn't. And it's part of it is like statistically based, but it can't be. This is not an argument that you can base on statistics, right? The Four Letter Network used to have a show called Numbers Never Lie, which is wrong. Numbers lie all the time. Numbers tell you things that are incomplete, right? Like when we talk about the unemployment rate in America, the unemployment rate, how it is calculated, there are lots of things that it doesn't account for, which doesn't necessarily mean that, like, it's lying. It's simply not accounting for everything. For instance, it doesn't account for people who have lost their jobs and can't find work and have become discouraged and have given up. It doesn't account for that at all in the unemployment rate. It's accounting for people who are job seekers, who are still actively looking for jobs and can't find it, right? So there's a necessity for that stat, and there's a necessity for the stat that includes the people who have given up. More numbers give you a more complete picture. The problem when we look at the MVP in the NBA is we've got 2 problems. One, how do you define MVP? Because we still have a vague description of what that is. What is the MVP? What makes a person the most valuable player in the league? Is he the best player in the league? Then you need to give it to LeBron every year. Is it the guy having the best season? Well, it is a regular season award, so you do need to give it to the guy that's in that conversation this season. I don't like the legacy award. Don't just give it to Kobe because Kobe's been good and he never won one. Is the best player on the best team the MVP? Well, then what happens if a guy like Anthony Davis is absolutely playing out of his mind, but his team stinks? Are you saying that because he's the MVP, he ought to just make his team better? How is that possible? He's not a magician. He's a basketball player, and that team is garbage, right? Like, it's you just have to like learn to deal with this stuff. So like when you have guys that are having really great seasons or they're really talented and they're on bad teams, how do you define that? Does a guy have to be on a title contender or just on a really good team? How do you compare from player to player? Do I just compare their numbers straight up? What if they play different positions? Do I just try and compare their teams if you removed them or if you swapped them? Like, it gets all kinds of vague and weird and subjective how we define the MVP. How I define the MVP is the guy that excels the most in the league, which that itself is also pretty vague. But again, I don't want to exclude too many people, but I feel like excels the most at least says you can't be middle of the pack on a really good team. It does add some more form to it. And I'll explain a little bit more when I tell you who I think my MVP is. Okay? Because we started with Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is a guy who is averaging a triple-double, which is insane. Absolutely insane. We haven't seen a guy do this since Wilt. So the idea that you could go out there and average a triple-double is ridiculous. And sure, there is a little bit of gamesmanship going on with this, right? Like, the Thunder as a team are in on the fact that Russell Westbrook is trying to average a triple-double, and all his teammates are helping him out. They're feeding him the ball. When he gets them open shots, they knock it down. Like, everybody's sort of in on this, let's get Russell Westbrook to be the guy thing. But my problem with Russell Westbrook being the MVP brings me to my second problem with what we do with the MVP. The MVP award becomes an offensive award, and we get suckered into it every single year. I don't think it was foolish to give it to Steph last year, because Steph did something in the last 3 seasons or so that made him MVP worthy. This is what Steph did. Steph changed the game of basketball. Now everybody shoots threes. Teams that did not shoot threes as a philosophy or as an identity now shoot threes because Steph shot threes. That makes you the MVP. Your existence, the way you played the game, you imposed your will on the National Basketball Association so much. You imposed your will on it so much, they played the game the way you play the game. LeBron is the best player in the world, and LeBron changed his game to look more like Steph's. LeBron shoots threes now. When you look at LeBron's entire career, LeBron never excelled at shooting threes. Never. That was never his strength. LeBron James lost an NBA Finals on the virtue of the San Antonio Spurs simply allowed him to shoot open threes because that was not his strength. Steph Curry imposed his will on the NBA, and his reign of terror lasted 2 seasons. He deserved the MVP both years. I didn't get suckered into an offensive conversation. The man changed the league. The way that Russell Westbrook is playing now is A, how people used to play basketball, and B, isn't changing anything. This isn't new, what Russell Westbrook does. 2010, Derrick Rose also played phenomenal basketball. And no, he was not averaging a triple-double, but he was averaging near a double-double. With that same relentless attacking style to the basket. The reason why the MVP conversation gets weird whenever we talk about it, because I don't know that we ever have this conversation on quite as deep a level in any other sport. Like when we talk about Cy Youngs, we never get into this. When we talk about AL and NL MVPs and NFL MVPs, we don't get to the level of depth that we wind up getting with the NBA, because the NBA is a little bit more nebulous. It's a lot more of a linked sport than a lot of these other sports. I think that the numbers really confuse this. Like, you can use numbers to find out the best player in football. You can use numbers to find out the best player in baseball. You know why? Because you don't play offense and defense at the same time. In basketball, the same guy that plays offense has to be the same guy that plays defense, which is why I don't think, no matter how good, no matter how high the ceiling of Isaiah Thomas is, he's never going to be the MVP of the league. He doesn't play defense really well. But we've allowed it in the NBA to have this same conversation where we do the same thing that we do in all the other sports like it works. Let's just take all these numbers and cram them together. How many points per game is he averaging? What's his shooting percentage? What's he rebounding? How many steals? What's the assists? And all of these things are things that quantify a player, but they don't quantify it very well because nothing quantifies defense in the NBA really well. Blocks, steals, they give you some idea, right? They give you some metric, like the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate does not account for some things. Steals and blocks do not account for some things. But they account for the idea that, okay, you were there on defense and you did stuff. Cool, but it doesn't tell you how good your defense was. It just tells you you're capable of getting blocks and steals. Guys jump passing lanes all the time, and when they gamble and they're wrong, they give up tons of points. And when they gamble and they're right, they get a steal. So the stats don't tell you the entire story. And this is the problem of the MVP in the NBA. Is the stats aren't telling you the whole story, and they're mostly offensive stats. We have offensive stats in the NBA that give you a much more complete picture than our defensive stats. So when you start to compare Russell Westbrook and Kawhi Leonard, things start to get a little ridiculous, right? Because Russell Westbrook is having the single most ridiculous offensive season that any point guard has ever had, arguably, outside of like Steph. And even then, what Russell Westbrook is doing in terms of stuffing the entire stat sheet is bonkers, right? So there was an article on Deadspin about Russell Westbrook, and one of the things that you had to know about him, which is that this, right? Russell Westbrook would be averaging, and it's an insane stat. It's an insane stat. Russell Westbrook would be averaging 25 points a game, 8.2 rebounds a game, 7.8 assists a game, if he never scored another point, got another assist, and got another rebound the rest of the game. If Russell Westbrook averaged 0, 0, and 0 for the rest of the season, he would end the season 25, 8, and 7. It's nuts. It's nuts, right? So, like, why am I telling you that Russell Westbrook isn't the MVP? Because we're not taking into account defense, which we have not accurately quantified. We're also not taking into account the way that everybody is playing. So if you take into account defense, the guy that I think ought to be the MVP is Kawhi Leonard. He's not going to be the MVP. He's not flashy enough. He doesn't have enough pizzazz, which to me is insane because there's no place in life in which flashiness necessarily warrants you anything. When you look at all the flashy cars that people want Ferraris, people want Lamborghinis, people want the Bugatti Veyron. And yet when it comes to maintenance and when it comes to upkeeping those cars will kill you in maintenance. Forget the initial price of the car. The car will kill you in maintenance. Right? If you simply got a 4-door sedan, it's not flashy. It gets the job done. But we look for flashy. When you look at movies, what movies are winning Academy Awards? What are movies nominated for Academy Awards? Manchester by the Sea, Arrival, Moonlight, La La Land. What movies are not getting nominated? Captain America Civil War. The Captain America's flashier. Yeah, it makes more money. More people go to see it. Everyone's going to go see the next Spider-Man. That movie's not winning an Academy Award. That movie's not winning an Academy Award. It's not Academy Award-winning movies. They're not flashy. Right? Like Leonardo DiCaprio tried to win an Academy Award like his whole career, finally wins one, and it's arguably on his least flashy movie. We're looking for flashy, and flashy is not necessarily best. Kawhi Leonard's not flashy. Kawhi Leonard's not stuffing the stat sheet. He doesn't have triple doubles. He doesn't try and jump for a dunk like he's trying to leave the gravitational pull of the earth. He doesn't throw down a dunk like the rim made him mad. He just gets the job done. And then what Kawhi Leonard is able to do on two ends of the floor instead of one, what Kawhi Leonard is able to do on two ends of the floor makes him, in my mind, the MVP in a way that Russell Westbrook can never be. Because Russell Westbrook is a capable defender, but he gambles a lot in large part because he is going for those steals, because he is trying to stuff the stat sheet. He becomes a liability at times. And then you've got Kawhi Leonard, who simply erases the best player on the other team on defense. You put him on the best scorer on the other team, and he erases that guy, right? The Spurs played that game against Houston the other night, against the Rockets, and coming down the stretch, there was 6 minutes left to go in the game. Kawhi Leonard takes over the game offensively to give San Antonio the lead, and he completely eliminated James Harden from the game. 6 minutes in the game, James Harden scores 4 points. He only makes one basket. The other two came on free throws. Kawhi Leonard erased James Harden from the game. And James Harden is also an MVP candidate. If Kawhi Leonard, like, you can put him on the best guy on the other team. From 1 to 4 positions, Kawhi Leonard can defend 1 through 4. You can put him on the best guy on the other team. He takes him out of the game. And nobody else can say that. And there isn't a stat for shots James Harden never got to take because Kawhi Leonard was smothering him like a blanket. There isn't a stat for shots and passes you never attempted because you never got the opportunity because Kawhi Leonard was suffocating you. There's no stat for things that you never got to do, but you have to take that into account if you're saying this guy's the most valuable player in the league. You have to. I'm telling you right now, Russell Westbrook is not doing that. He's not taking away the best player on the other team. Even if the best player on the other team plays his very same position, Russell Westbrook's not eliminating the guy. Yeah, Russell Westbrook has some flashy defensive plays. He's got some flashy steals. He's got some flashy chase down blocks. But I'm talking about actually eliminating somebody from a play. He doesn't have that the way that Kawhi has that. That's what Kawhi's the best player. Kawhi is the most valuable player in the league. It's not sexy. It's not trendy. It's not flashy. It's not a Ferrari. But it gets the job done. Right? Like, would you rather have a Ferrari that never runs? You want to watch The Avengers, and you can like that movie, and you can enjoy that movie. It's never winning Best Picture at the Oscars. Never. It's flashy. It's not great. Russell Westbrook, flashy, but it's flashy in a way that's not even all that helpful. Like, Russell Westbrook is not necessarily out here playing with a bunch of scrubs. He's got great teammates. Inez Cantor, Steven Adams, Victor Oladipo, these guys are good. He's not playing with trash. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM1240 and NoogaRadio.com. Russell Westbrook, man, he ain't the MVP.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. News Talk 1240.
Info 40 Nooga Radio News, Russell Stroud reporting. Mayor Andy Burke is going to be our mayor for another 4 years. People have spoken. Mayor Andy Burke leading the way with 11,991 votes compared to Larry Groen's 4,941. David Crockett getting 1,438. Chris Long only 407. We also have some news on the city council elections. There have been several runoff elections. Chris Anderson will be facing off against Oglesby. Incumbent Yusuf Akeem will be facing off against Demetrius Coonrod. And Anthony Byrd has upset Moses Freeman for the position in District 8. Moses Freeman, a longtime chairman. One person's dead and another person in the hospital after a vehicle crashed on Bayshore Drive and caught on fire. Deputies had to both extinguish the fire and get out the people who were inside. Hamilton County traffic investigators are now investigating. And a man says he tried to commit an act of kindness by driving two men to a gas station from Appleton Pike, but they ended up carjacking him. Two suspects have been arrested. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Nooga Radio News. Like us on Facebook and get us on TuneIn.
Clear skies will continue through your nighttime hours. Chilly overnight, lows 38 to 40. For Thursday, another great-looking day. Lots of sunshine, even warmer highs into the lower 70s. Tomorrow night, some more clouds, a few early showers Friday, then drier and breezy for the afternoon. Spring has sprung, and Glass Farm Nursery opens tomorrow. Your tree and shrub replacement headquarters. Glass Farm will bring life back to your lawn and garden. That's Glass Farm Nursery, Highway 11, 4 miles south of Trenton. And I'm 1412's Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ford. On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
Leadership can't be bought. Leadership is earned. Former Chattanooga Councilman David Crockett has earned the right to lead Chattanooga. David Crockett has the most successful record for getting things done of the 4 candidates running for mayor. David Crockett is mature, responsible, ethical, and has a vision for Chattanooga's future. Vote David Crockett for mayor on Tuesday, March 7th. Now is the time for true leadership.
I'm David Crockett, and I approve this message. Now's the time, Chattanooga.
If I'm the city's most intelligent man, it's because I take 2 shots of Mind Enhancement Complex every day. Nature's Finest keeps me stocked with my mainstay, Formula 4. That's where I start. Formula 4. Industrial farming, soil depletion, mineral empty foods. I just say no. Ask about supplements, health, stamina, circulation, heart, prostate under control. Get the Nooga Radio David Tulis freebie. Save $2 on every 5, 20% off. Nooga Radio, the highway, nature's finest.
The American dream, home ownership. Are you building equity for your landlord? Why not build that equity for yourself and your family? Rent No More is a no obligation, no cost program. It's designed to teach you the steps necessary and to coach you all along the path to home ownership. Integrity Mortgage Group is owned and operated by local expert Jeff Woody Woodburn. Jeff has been in the mortgage business for over 15 years, born and raised right here in the Chattanooga area. Jeff is also known as the Lone Ranger. He's helped countless hundreds. Really eager to help you too. So don't wait. Come on, call Danielle right now. You need to reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. 8004. Call 423-517-8004. Nooga Radio is proud to partner with Integrity Mortgage Group to bring you Rent No More. Reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Stop building equity for your landlord. Live the American dream. Home ownership with Rent No More. We'll see you there.
Have the best steak selection in town. The name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
Competent, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a realtor, you want and need Thomas DeMoss of Keller Williams Realty. Thomas is a very gifted realtor who puts the client's needs first. Whether you're buying or selling a home, Thomas is the realtor of choice. Thomas will help and guide you through each step of this very important process. For many of us, the purchase of a home is one of our largest investments and most important family and financial decision. Let Thomas use his 10 years of experience in the Chattanooga real estate market to give you the advantage you need when buying or selling a home. Buying a house, Thomas can help you navigate the emotional and somewhat anxious process of buying a home. For those of you who want to sell a house, Thomas uses his marketing and negotiating experience to help you sell your home for top dollar. Thomas is a local resident raising his family here in Hamilton County. He knows the area area very well. For many agents, real estate is a job. With Thomas DeMoss, it's a passion and what he loves to do. Call Thomas today for a no-obligation consultation. He makes the process as simple as possible. Call 423-364-0028 and visit his website, NorthRiverPropertyGroup.com. There's a reason why Alliance Physical Therapy is a choice of professionals and those who care about first-class, top-notch service and treatment. Because at Alliance Physical Therapy of Chattanooga, we don't just treat the symptoms in your body. Whether you're suffering from stiffness, muscle spasms, back pain, chronic headaches every day, the stress of life demanding more and more of you, Alliance Physical Therapy takes a holistic approach to healing mind, body, and soul. Alliance Physical Therapy with a location near you and 9 others in the Chattanooga area. If you don't have a doctor or if your physician's plan for chronic pain is not working, Alliance Physical Therapy will help. Visit Alliance Physical Therapy on the web at nopainpt.com. That's nopainpt.com. Alliance Physical Therapy. And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on a county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living, not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is a field line failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. But by preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache that may displace yourself and your family, and that happens more often than you think. The waste is designed to stay in the tank, and that waste will build up over time. Even with treatment, we have to help that waste break down. Ultimately, preventative maintenance is the key that will keep you from spending $5,000 to $10,000 on replacing your septic system. Bottom line is to save yourself money down the road.
Call Ray at Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341, 421-6341.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Yeah, I got a little bit more heat over that MVP thing than I thought I would be. But it's just crazy. Because we act like when we consider guys that are the best players at what they do, we act like efficiency isn't part of the game. Okay? And it's not like guys who are volume shooters have never won the MVP award before, or that guys that are volume shooters can't be effective on their team and can't be the most valuable player in the league. But it's harder to be valuable when you are not efficient. It's harder to be valuable when you're turning the ball over prolifically, which James Harden and Russell Westbrook are doing. Kawhi Leonard, he's not. It's harder. That's all I'm saying. It's simply more difficult. And I think efficiency is something that unconsciously, I don't even think people are looking up efficiency stats necessarily, even though that is one of my favorite stats when I try and look at an edge that two guys have. If they're both scoring an incredible amount of points, give me the most efficient guy. I can build a team with the most efficient guy. I can add another shooter. I can add another guy that takes a lot of shots, right? Like, that's why Kevin Durant fits so great with the Warriors. Well, Steph's efficient, Klay's efficient, Durant's already efficient. You throw those three guys in there, and they can all keep their scoring totals. Nobody has to feel left out. Nobody has to suffer. They're all getting the best shots, the best looks of their lives. They're all efficient. You can't take Russell Westbrook and plant him in what it is that Golden State is doing. It wouldn't work. It doesn't make any sense. He's not efficient. Neither is James Harden. Like, James Harden is really good at scoring efficiently. But when you are going to be incredibly turnover prone, as he is, and I understand that there is a certain level of the usage rate for James Harden is so high, and they phenomenally need him to have the ball so often that he is going to turn the ball over a ton. I see that, and I say that is very much the point. That playing basketball that way is simply not an efficient and effective way to play basketball. And this is Daryl Morey's grand science experiment. Okay, because Daryl Morey is doing the Morey ball thing, right? He's bringing money ball to basketball. Can you win in the NBA with a single superstar? That's the experiment. Because Morey knows you can't necessarily get 3 unless you're already good and attracting more. Like your Golden State, so you get to attract Durant. You're D-Wade in Miami, so you get to attract LeBron and Bosh. You don't necessarily attract anybody if you're the Toronto Raptors. You don't get to attract anybody if you're the Houston Rockets. So now Morey is playing around with this experiment of, I have one superstar. Let's build the entire team around this guy and see how far we can go. I'm saying, and my prediction is this, y'all ain't going all that far. It's just not doable. It's not tenable necessarily. Now, Mike D'Antoni's your coach. His coaching tends to be steroids for guards. You take a number of shots, you run, you don't have to worry about defense, but then that makes you not a very well-rounded and not a very efficient player, which I think ultimately works against you in a way that when we've looked at guys in the past who we considered to be great, why have they had trouble getting that recognition in terms of being an MVP? Bryant won 2 MVP awards out of pity. Like, they didn't even give him the award the year he should have won it. Right? Like, the year Kobe should actually have been the most valuable player in the league, he didn't win the award simply because he's not efficient, and we can all see it and sense it and feel it, and nobody wants to give that guy the award. Right? Like, Michael Jordan wasn't the most efficient shooter of all time. But he was very efficient with the basketball. Michael Jordan wasn't turning the ball over anywhere near the rate that we see Westbrook and Harden. And I understand that the game was different, the pace was slower, but even if you go per 100 possessions, Michael Jordan was not turning the ball over at that prolific of a rate. Right? Like, efficiency matters, and you can tell and you can feel it when you give the guy an MVP award. That was something when Bird and Magic were MVPs. They were efficient players. And I'm looking at Kawhi Leonard. The dude doesn't turn the ball over. The dude makes all the right decisions passing. The guy is a hound defensively. He sends your best player to the shadow realm. You can't find that guy. He obliterates him when he covers him. He's made the best ball handlers in the league, Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving, look like they don't know how to handle the basketball. Like, I look like them when Kawhi guards them. Like, that to me speaks volumes about the guy's defense, and the defense changes the game. In the game against the Rockets, it had an impact on the game, and it took another MVP candidate away entirely. And nobody else on that team can buy a shot. And people have tried all kinds of defensive strategies to try and figure out how to eliminate Kawhi Leonard's defense from the picture. Either whoever the guy that Kawhi Leonard is covering, here's the thing that teams will do. Whoever it is that Kawhi Leonard is covering, that guy will stand in a corner and not be involved in the offense. That way, at least Kawhi Leonard's not defending somebody. Teams have tried to do this. The problem now is that you end up playing 4-on-4. And the gamble that you're taking is that the 4 that you have left are better than the 4 that you're playing against on the Spurs. And that's a very, very, very big gamble. And not very many teams can even use that as a strategy. But they've tried, because you have to do something with this guy's defense to try and get it out of your face. He's killing the league. He's killing the league. And somehow we're going with the more offensive guys for the MVP award. Somehow. Because we keep going back to flashy. We like scoring. We like points. Defense is boring. We don't have stats for it. What are you talking about? It's the other end of the floor. It's the other end of the floor. Like, that's the number one criticism that people have of certain guys. Like, can you imagine if LeBron wasn't a good defender? He is, so this is kind of a moot point. But can you imagine if he wasn't, what we would say about LeBron? We'd never allow for LeBron to be a bad defender. So that tells us that defense is important to us. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and NoogaRadio.com. And then here comes Kawhi Leonard. He's basically doing everything that LeBron's doing, and he's playing defense at the most elite level. He's taking your best player away from you. How's that guy not the MVP? Get out of here with that. Just because he's rocking the cornrows like it's still 2003. That doesn't mean you get to hate on the guy. Just saying, love Kawhi Leonard. You know, in sports, there's some people you just want to see go away. You just want to see him go away. It's not that you hate them. It's not hatred. It's overexposure, if anything. You just see them so much you don't want it anymore, right? I've worked a number of jobs in retail, and one of the things that everybody that's ever worked in retail knows is that you listen to the music that's playing in the store when you work in retail. And they play this playlist on a loop, and you hear the same songs over and over and over and over and over and over again. And by the time you get to the end of the workday, there are songs that you used to like, you no longer want to hear. It's not hatred. The song didn't get worse. You just were overexposed. You heard it too many times. Okay? So take what I'm going to say with a grain of salt. It's not hatred. It's overexposure. I am done with Tim Tebow. I'm tired of it. Tim Tebow is playing baseball with the New York Mets, and like we talk about Tim Tebow like he's the most virtuous guy ever. He's a really good guy. That I feel like is very apparent. He's always known to be very gracious with his time, gracious with people that interview him. This is not a slandering thing about Tim Tebow. Like I haven't just found a random thing to hate about Tim Tebow. But this entire idea of like I'm going to make something all about me is the most self-aggrandizing thing I've ever seen. Like Tim Tebow's pursuit of a baseball career has to be the single most selfish and self-aggrandizing thing that I have ever seen in my life. Because if Tim Tebow were serious about pursuing baseball, would have pursued baseball much earlier. Tim Tebow has not played baseball at a quote-unquote high level in about a decade. He's 29 years old. He's not going to make a professional team. He never will. He's not going to. Okay? It's just not how this whole thing works. You don't start playing baseball at 29 and then make the majors. This is not a movie. This is real life. And Tim Tebow is just enjoying it. And we're sitting here watching this man be bad at baseball. We're sitting here watching this man be bad at baseball. Why? Who knows? Meanwhile, Tim Tebow is doing something that's pretty serious. He's taking away spots from guys who are actually pursuing baseball, who don't have the popularity of Tim Tebow. They don't have the money of Tim Tebow. Minor league baseball players do not make money. They barely make enough money to get by, and they are doing so because they are following a dream that at least a couple of them can't follow because Tim Tebow has a roster spot that could have been theirs. Tim Tebow, who already has money, who already tried to follow his dream of being an NFL quarterback, and it didn't work. Right? Like if Tim Tebow really wanted to succeed in the NFL, he could have. He just needed to change positions. This is not about success. You don't become more successful by changing sports from the sport you've played your whole life to a sport you haven't played in a decade. This is about money. This is about money and marketability and exposure, and it's a two-way street. I'm not just blaming Tim Tebow. Like the teams don't have to bring him on, but the teams want to sell the tickets that come with having Tim Tebow on your roster. And hey, Tim Tebow is taking up a roster spot of some guy that may also never make the major leagues. The difference here, though, is that guy dedicated his entire career to this craft. His entire career. Tim Tebow just showed up and got the spot. And maybe I'm taking this one just a little bit personally because I am doing radio right now and I don't make a lot of money doing this. I'm doing this because I am chasing a dream, because I love doing radio, because I am dedicated to this craft. And if somebody, because maybe they used to be an athlete, maybe they're a politician, they just got better connections, they get a job that I can't get, then yeah, I am somewhat bitter about that. This doesn't mean the same to you that it does to me. This is my dream. So yeah, I can empathize with a baseball player, somebody who was going to play in the fall leagues and didn't get to play in the fall leagues because Tim Tebow took his spot, because he's Tim Tebow, because he's got a name that's bigger than your name. Somebody that's would like to make spring training camp with the Mets, to try and play with the Mets, because the Mets have, by the way, loaned out a lot of players to the World Baseball Classic. I think they have, like, they've loaned out the most players in the major leagues, because they've got players from just all over the world. And so guys are trying to make this roster. Guys are trying to get the exposure, maybe catch the eye of a scout. And they can't do that because Mr. Tim Tebow, who's already gotten money from playing in the NFL and already gotten money from being a broadcaster on the SEC network, where he still works and still broadcasts and still makes a ton of money, is sitting there taking their spot so that he can do what? Look stiff as a board while he strikes out in spring camp? Like, what are we doing, man? And people who are thinking, well, oh, you just sound bitter. You're just being harsh on Tim Tebow. No, I am not. There's an entire slew of people with whom I would simply like to see them go away. Right? This does not apply to legends. When legends get old, they're legends. Let them play as long as they want to. But if you're not a legend, if you gave it your best shot, you gave it a crack, and then you've reached the point where it's just not possible for you anymore, go away, right? Because like we've heard the stories about Vince Young. Vince Young is trying to make a comeback. He's going to be playing in the Canadian Football League. He's trying to make this entire thing that he's got going on a comeback tour, and he's putting on display all of this stuff. Follow Vince Young. The trademark, make Vince Young great again, which is not something that is even physically possible to do. And you know I have love for Vince Young because I'm a Texas Longhorn fan. The single greatest college football moment of my life was gifted to me by Vince Young in my favorite championship game in the history of sports that I've gotten to witness with my own two eyes, 2005 Rose Bowl. That is, to me, still the penultimate. That's the best. That's the best that sports ever had to offer me. It peaked right there. I was 15 years old. It peaked right there. And I'm okay with that. I have love for Vince Young. So this is not, again, because people twist this on me and go, well, you're just a hater. No, I am not. I'm a realist. And realistically, Vince Young is not going to be a starting quarterback for any NFL team ever again in life. It was already up for debate when he was good at football. How is it going to be tenable now? How is that something that's even going to work out now? Right? Like Tim Tebow annoys me because of he's just sort of all over the place. Vince Young annoys me for a very different reason, which is that Vince Young had an opportunity to really make something of an NFL career. He was on a team where the owner loved him in the Tennessee Titans. The owner loved him. He had basically the coach over a barrel. He was basically able to sort of play his style of football. He didn't have to win efficiently a lot of games. He had some exciting moments with the Titans. And somehow he managed to waste it all. Like, it's insane. But Vince Young is saying, look, the football is my dream, my passion. Maybe I wasted my chance, but I'm going to try and make a go of this. Tim Tebow is saying football is his dream, his passion, except for baseball. If baseball comes up and somehow works out, then I guess that's my dream or passion too. You can't just jump ship on dreams and just jump from one to the other, to the other, to the other. You know what you call that? You call that settling. Especially when you are when the value of that same dream, someone else is placing very highly on that. They're placing a very high value on that dream. Right? Like there's some guy that's been in the minor leagues forever, and he's not going to get a chance to do anything because Tim Tebow's sucking up the spot. In more ways than one, right? Like he's sucking up the spot, and he's just taking up the spot. But then also, he stinks at baseball. Like, I've never seen a guy look so stiff. I'm not a baseball talent evaluator, right? If I go to a high school right now, I have no way of distinguishing between the guy that's really got a future in baseball and the guy that doesn't. I can probably tell you which guy's better, but I couldn't tell you this kid right here. Keep an eye on him, right? There's no way if I saw Bryce Harper as a freshman in high school, I would have known that Bryce Harper was a major league superstar in the making. I would have had no idea of knowing that. Like, there's no way for me to actually know that. I'm not a baseball talent evaluator. And even I think that Tim Tebow's swing is broken. It's busted. Okay? It's one of the uglier things that I have ever seen in sports is Tim Tebow attempting to swing a baseball bat. And somehow people have convinced themselves that this is must-watch television. And you know what I have to say about that? You're a sucker. You are a sucker. If you took any time out of your life to watch Tim Tebow swing and miss, you are a sucker. Tim Tebow has had a year of training from some of the best people in baseball willing to give him a chance and also take his money, but also give him a chance. Right? Like, the one thing I will say about Tim Tebow that makes him better than Vince Young in all of this is that, like, at least Tim Tebow's orchestrated this so that this all makes him money. Right? Like, Tim has done this intelligently. Vince, I don't know what Vince is doing. Where's Vince's friends? And I don't mean just like the people that gather around you. I mean like the good friends. The friends that'll tell you when you got something stuck in your teeth. The friends that'll tell you when you're doing something wrong, when you are being a jerk. And also, when you are wasting your time and everybody else's time. Where are those friends for Vince Young? I don't think he seems to have those. Tim Tebow has those. But the rest of us, the people who aren't his friends, he's just playing y'all like a bunch of suckers. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 from NewRadio.com.
Junior is on the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott Power on the outside. Michael McDowell pops a right front tire. Here's Mark Truex to the bottom. Waiting, walking off two. Meanwhile, Chase and Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Here at Live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Fox News Talk 1240. The voice of NASCAR.
Shane Wilson makes music to get your house sold. Get traffic to your house. Get calls. Drum up a bit of demand. One offer, just one. If it's right, it's all you need. We riff you through the usual tedium. Pre-qualified? Financing? We help you get it all together. $signs. Here's a simple we like. Shane Wilson with Remax Select Realty. Your real estate rock star. PickShane.com. 635-7779.
What kind of name is Herb Durante? Anyway, Herb builds storage sheds. He's an Annapolis. You can call it. His sheds are cheaper than other people's. And the surprise is, when you go look at them online or in person, they're sturdier than the other guys. Local economy at its best. Not shipped in from a factory in Minnesota or somewhere. Herb delivers. He'll set it up for free. Up to 12 by 24. Starting at $900. Blue, green, yellow, you name it. Pick a metal or shingle roof, and metal corners are standard. Make a Herb's Yard Barn bump resistant. The skids underneath, not 4x4, but 4x6, 6x6. On top of that, inside, extra beams for sturdier construction. Appleton 503-3741. Appleton 503-3741. On the keyboard, herbsyardbarns.com. herbsyardbarns.com.
10% off all in-stock inventory now. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis has the cash when you sell gold, silver, diamonds, rings, and jewelry. Sell Rick your precious metals today and lock in your price. Hey, Rick Davis will trade your cash for shiny, brilliant, and heavy gold. Gold cheaper now by $100 an ounce. Join the Rick Davis Silver Bonanza too. Prices so low, the Lone Ranger is bound to gallop in, Kimosabe. Silver, away! The markets are changing, so buy now. Cash, 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 and more cash for your silver and gold, gold, gold. Rick Davis, 5301 Brainerd Road. That's 5301 Brainerd Road. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Oh, and cash, cash, cash. You know where it is. Silver, away!
Final expenses, funeral costs, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate costs, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounded greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is the local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Dana at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484.
Now is the time to regain the momentum the city of Chattanooga lost 4 years ago. David Crockett has a vision and a plan to put Chattanooga back on track. David Crockett has a plan to bring 1,000 jobs across all of our neighborhoods. David Crockett has a plan to address citywide affordable housing and a plan to address violence head on. Get out and vote Tuesday, March 7th. Vote David Crockett for mayor.
I'm David Crockett, and I approve this message. Now's the time, Chattanooga.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
More American military personnel will take aim at ISIS.
The U.S. has sent a Marine 155-millimeter artillery battery into Syria.
As Congress starts the Obamacare repeal process, AARP pushes back.
We have some pretty serious concerns, and therefore we have a proposed plan that's on the table right now.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Dave Barrett. An artillery unit from the U.S. Marines has been deployed in Syria. They will target ISIS. In Raqqa, a key extremist location, National Security Correspondent David Martin with more.
This is additional firepower that is going into Syria ahead of what is expected to be a final battle for the ISIS capital of Raqqa.
Retired Army Major Mike Lyons once commanded a U.S. artillery unit in Iraq. He's a CBS consultant. And he says now that it's possible that there could be up to 2,000, maybe even 3,000 troops in this deployment. Stateside is the two House committees start the process to repeal and replace Obamacare. AARP attorney David Sortner says if the new plan passes, older Americans will feel the pinch.
I'm not sure that people are aware of the fact that premiums are jumping by as much as $8,000, and a lot of people are simply going to be unable to afford it, and we're going to see dramatic spikes in the number of people who are uninsured.
House Speaker Paul Ryan says there's a way to make this plan succeed.
It repeals Obamacare's taxes. That's $1 trillion in tax relief for families that will help them with the cost of health care.
It has been a busy day.
A day without a woman. It is a day without me.
That was the chant in New York City on a day when women took the day off to show their economic power and to fight for rights. Activist Linda Sarsour spoke to a crowd near Central Park.
We stand for all women, women who have lost their children to police violence. We stand for undocumented women who every single day have to be worried about being separated from their families.
In the heartland,
I'm Bruce Marcus in Madison, Wisconsin, where several hundred people rallied at the state capitol building to promote women's rights.
Teachers, nurses, any field that is predominantly female is consistently taken for granted.
This woman wanted plenty of change.
Free healthcare for all. We want free abortion education on demand. I think we need to see free public education. We want to reduce student debt.
And across from the White House, WTOP's Christy King heard the speeches in Lafayette Park.
Women have exceeded expectations. This crowd is much larger than we thought it was going to be.
Terry O'Neill, National Organization for Women.
We will change this country because we're working together.
Many women are striking today for issues such as equal pay and violence against women. In a show of economic power, many are not spending money. Although some local businesses, such as restaurants, are donating proceeds to women's organizations.
The Dow dropped 69. Now this.
If you owe back taxes, there's a lot you need to know, starting with rule number 1. Don't mess with the IRS. They are cracking down this year by sending out heart-stopping letters, actively garnishing paychecks, levying bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. That's all true. But it's also true there's a way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative, an important government program for tax debt assistance. It's one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered, so now's the time. You could qualify for a tax settlement that saves you thousands, even tens of thousands. Nobody knows this program like the award-winning experts at Optima Tax Relief. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and will work to get you the best deal possible. Don't mess with the IRS. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima for a free consultation.
Call 800-559-8226. 800-559-8226. 800-559-8226.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The FBI will investigate the CIA stuff that appeared on WikiLeaks. Steve Dorsey.
The CIA won't confirm whether the documents are authentic, instead saying Americans should be troubled by WikiLeaks disclosures designed to damage the country's defenses against terrorists and help adversaries. The agency says it aims to be innovative and cutting edge in protecting the U.S. from enemies abroad. It also says it's legally barred from conducting electronic surveillance in the U.S.
Stephen Portnoy on the president's claim the Trump Tower was wiretapped.
CBS's Margaret Brennan asked Sean Spicer if the president is the target of a counterintelligence investigation.
I think that's what we need to find out.
The press secretary was handed a piece of paper, and he clarified.
There is no reason that we have to think that the president is the target of any investigation.
You get 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Here's what advertisers are saying about AM 1240. HotNewsTalkRadio.com.
Radio station, they really care. They're always call me probably once a week, checking on me, seeing how things go, see if they want to change any of the ads or do anything different, seeing what my needs are. I got business off the ads that you do for me, and seems to be working well at this point.
Prices were very fair. Areas in this town that we aren't able to get other ways, your radio station is able to help us out, and I really appreciate that.
We've been very pleased with the services we've got. It seems like everybody over there cares about what they're going to do, how it's going to work for us on this end, and we've been very impressed with the creativity of the ads that we've heard, and they always seem to be right on point, even without us having to come up with what's going to be said.
We've been doing business with News Talk Radio for quite some time. It's the best place and the best value you can get for your advertising. The commercials are great. They're very professional. I was actually blown away.
The commercial that they put together was awesome. It was way far above all the other radio stations we've dealt with. The best we've had yet, guaranteed, by far.
AM 1240, HotNewsTalkRadio.com gets results. Let us get results for your business. For no obligation free consultation, call General Sales Manager Steve Johnson. Call 423-240-5459. That's 240-5459. Or you can always email Steve at NoogaRadioSteve@gmail.com. That's NoogaRadioSteve@gmail.com. AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We get results.
I got to talk about the Redskins. We'll get there later. Because dysfunctionality and stuff. Dysfunction is always great to talk about, and I got to spend a glorious 1.5 seasons thumbing my nose down at the Browns and the 49ers and the Rams. Well, now it's my turn. It's my turn. We're back. We're back to dysfunctionality. Dan Snyder looked around and saw everybody else beating him in the dysfunctional wars, and decided, you know what? Time to take my throne back. Time to take my throne back. So, yeah, the Redskins are going to be back to stinking again. But I suppose this goes to my point, right, about dysfunction. It never really goes away until the dysfunctional people go away. The idea that you can change one piece in a dysfunctional thing is insane. Like, if your car was broken, if you catch it early enough, you can change one part in your car and save the whole engine. But I had a car breakdown one time. The gasket cracked. I did not catch that early enough. Lost the whole engine. Right? Had to sell my car. Had to buy another car. And the car, when I sold it, was where I got nothing. I got basically nothing for it. Right? Like, everything is connected. You can't change out one part and fix dysfunction, which the Redskins did try to do. They actually hired a general manager, Scott McCloughan. He built the Seahawks and he built the 49ers, and those teams went on Super Bowl runs. The Seahawks are still good at football to this day. 49ers, not so much. But the point is, you can't change out one piece and fix dysfunction. Redskins tried to do that. But the things that I've been reading about them and the things that I have been seeing about them is kind of insane. So I will get to that a little bit because there's some political undertones there, which I enjoy. I know all of you hate, but I like it. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 at NewGradRadio.com. But our lead story is one Russell Westbrook. He did a bad thing last night to the Portland Trail Blazers. 58 points, 9 assists. Russell Westbrook putting in his application to be the point guard, except, of course, that he can't be the point guard because you can't be the point guard and put up huge numbers and be losing all the time. You know the Thunder aren't going to win 50 games, right? Like, we're actually going to be fortunate if they win 50. There's 18 games left. They're not going to win 50. They'll make the playoffs, but they're not going to win 50. And Russell Westbrook is an interesting case to me because he is the definition of flash. He's the definition of pizzazz. He's the definition of attractive. But attractive in terms of the game isn't always best, which I thought is what we're trying to give the MVP award on some level, right? Again, I think if you gave the MVP award to the best player, LeBron would win it every year. The thing is, we don't give the MVP award to the best player. So that's obviously not what it means. For instance, when you look at the NFL MVP award, the NFL MVP award is not an award to best player. NFL MVP award is an award to either quarterback, running back, or most flashy defensive player, which is usually a pass rusher. So the MVP award is limited to 3 or 4 positions of guys that actually impact the football from the perspective of someone sitting down watching the game. The offensive line impacts the football, but we don't have quantifiable stats for what it is that those guys do, so we're never going to give them an award, right? We're never going to give a defensive back an award. Even when Darrelle Revis was at his best, when Revis Island was its most potent, you put Darrelle Revis on a guy, and then you just didn't hear from that guy for the rest of the game. And it didn't matter who it was. You put Darrelle Revis on a guy, and you just flat out knew we'll see him next week. We ain't seen him this week. You were I'm a big fantasy football guy. I'm not going to go too deep into it because, outside of talking about your dreams, fantasy football is the one thing that nobody wants to hear you talk about. But I'm a big fantasy football guy. If I had a receiver that was about to be covered by Darrelle Revis, I played anybody else. Anybody else. You just didn't leave it there. Darrelle Revis shut down guys. When Darrelle Revis was at his most potent, we never considered him an NFL MVP candidate. Never. Never. Because Darrelle Revis was not playing a position that directly impacted the football. And also, all of the passes that quarterbacks didn't throw that direction because they didn't want to test Revis, that's not a quantifiable stat. Even though arguably it was incredibly important. Right? Like that's something that was hugely important in his prime. It was one of the things that actually made the Jets a good football team was, yeah, half of the field you can't even throw to. Right? But we never considered it. Why? It's not flashy. It's not sexy to not have people throw the ball to you. That's not flashy. That's not fun. Right? That's ultimately not fun. So you've got like guys that play really well, but not flashy. You got guys that are flashy. And like, it doesn't take deep statistical digging to find where the guy's not playing well. You don't have to dig deep to find where Russell Westbrook is turning the ball over millions of times. You don't need to find statistical digging to find where Russell Westbrook is ultimately failing Oklahoma City on defense, where he's failing to get his teammates involved because a lot of his assists are coming on. He attacks the basket. He's about to score or about to try to score, and then he does some, like, it's not even a good pass. It's not even like he intended to find the open guy. He just jumped in the air, turned, and found a guy that was open, as opposed to, yeah, this was his plan all along. And you can see it when you watch him play. His teammates are better than what they are doing. They ought to win more games. Inez Cantor, Steven Adams, Victor Oladipo. Like, these guys are good. And then they added Doug McDermott. Like, I don't care what anybody says. That team is a really good team. And I think if you put another superstar on that team that's not Russell Westbrook, maybe that superstar doesn't average what Russell Westbrook is averaging, but I bet they win more games. Russell Westbrook put up 58 points and 9 assists, and I want to be impressed by that, except it came in a loss, and it came in a loss where he took a terrible 3. And he realized he takes a lot of terrible shots. Dude shot the ball 39 times. Like, I become less impressed by your 58. On 39 shots, you better hit 50. On 39 shots, it's like the single least efficient thing that anybody could do. And we're praising him for it because we just see the 58 and go, wow. Look, it is amazing. I'm not trying to take away from how amazing it is, but I'm saying that's not my MVP of the league. When you look at Russell Westbrook is Captain America, Civil War, right? He's Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. He's Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Him. Really highly touted, very expensive blockbusters that made a lot of money. A lot of money. Never winning an award. Yeah, you can go ahead and watch Captain America again. Give me Moonlight. That was a good movie. Right? Like, that's just... You're looking for flashy. You're looking for the Ferrari. Why? It's not what's getting it done. I don't really... Like, he scores 58 points in a loss. And, like, the loss, he takes the shot, and he goes, yeah, I make that shot 9 out of 10 times. I've watched a lot of Oklahoma City games when Durant was there and now without Durant. Because like I said, Russell Westbrook's one of my favorite players in the league to watch. The intensity that he plays with is the most fun you'll have just sitting down and watching a random basketball game. That shot is not a shot that he makes 9 times out of 10. It's a bad shot. It's a bad shot. You take a deep contested 3. You took a bad shot. And if you would take that shot 10 times, you would lose that game. about as many times as you took it. That's just not probability. You're not playing good basketball, right? Which is interesting to me also, the way we've sort of like, I don't want to say idolized, but we've put Russell Westbrook on this pedestal when Russell Westbrook is like everything that the league is trending away from. We are trending away from isolation hero ball. There's a guy that plays the game very similarly to Russell Westbrook in terms of how he is supposed to be the center of the team and how his teammates are actually pretty talented and he's not helping them win. We mock this guy all the time. We don't mock Westbrook. Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony is isolation ball. I can shoot. Like Carmelo Anthony is a great player. He's now over the hill. He's not in his prime, so he's not the elite scorer that he ever was. But when Carmelo Anthony was even at his prime, we killed Carmelo Anthony for not ever getting it done. When he was in his prime. But for some reason, it's okay for Russell Westbrook to do it, to play isolation hero ball. It's not making your team better. Like, we're going to see Russell Westbrook in a way that we've never seen him before. That the way that he's currently playing basketball, if he doesn't evolve, or I don't know exactly what they're going to do with Billy Donovan, but unless they can find a coach or Sam Presti, the GM, is able to put a team around Russell Westbrook the way that they've put a team around James Harden, where James Harden is the sun and everybody else revolves around him. So either Russ has to change, the coach has to change, or the GM has to change. Some one of those three guys has to figure out how to do something different. Because it's not great basketball. Like when we look at the ball in other places, the ball in Cleveland, LeBron James, great passer. The ball never sticks in anybody's hands. It's flying around. Golden State, the ball never sticks. San Antonio, the ball never sticks. Even Toronto, Boston, Washington, the ball's not sticking. Guys are moving the ball around. I watch Oklahoma City games, and I feel like I'm watching basketball in 2001 again. Where it's like Kobe Bryant or Vince Carter jacking up a bunch of shots. And basketball has evolved away from that. Like, we make fun of Carmelo Anthony for being a dinosaur and playing the brand of basketball that his era created. Russell Westbrook is sort of a hangover from that era, and we praise him. Because he's an amazing athlete. So he does the thing inefficiently. He does the thing that we hate on everybody else for doing. 99.9% of other people who do what Russell Westbrook does, we hate. But he does it so athletically and so fiercely and so intensely. We love it. And to me, like, the double standard is bizarre. Because it's not like Carmelo Anthony started to decline and then we started to criticize him. People were criticizing Carmelo when he was in Denver. And that team made it out of the first round of the playoffs. And that team went to a Western Conference Finals. And we were still killing Carmelo Anthony. There were people that thought the way that he plays basketball, it's so selfish. He's never going to win. And Carmelo Anthony was playing amazing, amazing basketball on the offensive side of the game. Yeah, Carmelo Anthony was never going to average a triple-double. But he was always going to be lights out scoring. Like, you need a bucket in the last 5 minutes of the game, or you need a string of buckets. Carmelo Anthony can always give that to you. How is it that Russell Westbrook has somehow managed to escape the same criticism that we've reserved for every player like him? Even Kobe, who we can now all like because he's not playing anymore, so we don't get to be like, hey, he's inefficient. Look at his box score. Even Kobe was not able to escape it. And if you had to like rank a top 10 of NBA players, Kobe would, without a shadow of a doubt, be in your top 10. Without a doubt, he'd be in your top 10. And even Kobe couldn't escape the same criticism nobody gives Russell Westbrook. Somehow he's the MVP of the league for doing the same thing other people did. I don't get it. Like, it just, maybe there's some level of a high to it where it's just like, yeah, Russell Westbrook is seen as the victim in a separation between him and Kevin Durant. And so, like, we're going to heap all of this praise on Russell Westbrook. Like, oh, look, Russell Westbrook lost a superstar, and look how good he's playing. It's like, yeah, he lost a superstar, but the rest of his team is still kind of loaded. Why isn't he playing better? Like, maybe I just don't want the bar to be that low. Right? Like, that was my thing with Donald Trump and the speech that he had last week, where everyone was like, oh, look, Donald Trump, he looks very presidential. He looks so presidential. And I'm like, why? Because he showed up and spoke? Like, we've never praised the president for a State of the Union speech the way we praised Donald Trump about that. Why? Because the bar is low. The bar is low. We're just happy when Donald Trump shows up and looks like a president and acts like a president. That's a real low bar. My bar is not that low for Russell Westbrook, where it's like, oh, look at his stats. Look at his box score. Yeah, look at his stats. My bar for that guy is not that low. I think that he can be better. I think his team can be better. I think he can be more efficient if he stopped looking for his shot first. If Russell Westbrook's assists came off of him understanding the way that the defense pulls and pushes and pulls around him, as opposed to he's looking for his shot first, and when he can't find it, then he finds you, it would be a much more efficient Oklahoma City Thunder's team, and you'd have better play from some of these guys. Like, I'm watching him make passes to Enes Kanter, and Enes Kanter is scoring off of some of these passes, and they're not great. Like, he gives the ball to Enes Kanter, and Kanter is scoring because he is a really good scoring big, not because he was set up in, like, the optimal position to score, which is what I want from my point guard. Like, don't just get assists by giving it to Steven Adams and Enes Kanter, who happen to be pretty good at finishing around the rim. I don't know. Maybe my bar for Russell Westbrook is a little bit higher than the rest of you guys, but I just don't see that as this is the MVP. He's a candidate. I'm not saying it's ridiculous that we're having the conversation. It isn't ridiculous at all. He's simply not the MVP. Like, you would have to give it to Harden or Kawhi, right? And I wouldn't give it to LeBron because, I feel like LeBron James playing in the Eastern Conference, it's a weaker conference. He takes nights off. He rests. And I don't hold it against him that he rests, but then everybody else who's your team needs you. They need you on both ends of the floor. Nah, I can't give the award to you. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM1240 at NoogaRadio.com. Like, now, if we're going to give the award to the best guy, is this the best guy award? Then yeah, you go ahead and give it to LeBron. But it's not the best guy award. It's never been the best guy award. If it had been, Jordan would have won the entire career outside of the Wizard years. I mean, he would have won. That's all I'm saying on that. Yeah, you all are looking for fantastic beasts and where to find them in Captain America. And it's great. Enjoy your movie. Have fun. That movie's not winning any awards. It's simply not. Right? Like, it's good fun. Right? Like Doctor Strange, really cool Marvel movie, visual spectacle. It's not winning Best Picture. It's not winning Best Supporting Actor. Okay? It's not winning Best Soundtrack. You can't even remember a song from that movie. I bet you can't. Right? You're not looking for something that is great here. You're looking for something that's flashy. And if what you're looking for is flashy, you can go ahead and give the MVP award to Russell Westbrook. If what you're looking for is great, then you're going to have to eliminate him from the conversation, at least this season. I think that he's going to rise to a level where he figures out how to play with his teammates together. This year ain't it. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM1240 and NoogaRadio.com. Let's talk about dysfunction next. That's fun.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. Fox News Talk 1240.
April 40 New Radio News. Let's just start reporting. Mayor Andy Burke is going to be our mayor for another 4 years. The people have spoken. Mayor Andy Burke leading the way with 11,991 votes compared to Larry Groen's 4,941. David Crockett getting 1,438. Chris Long only 407. We also have some news on the city council elections. There have been several runoff elections. Chris Anderson will be facing off against Oglesby. Incumbent Yusuf Hakim will be facing off against Demetrius Coonrod. And Anthony Byrd has upset Moses Freeman for the position in District 8. Moses Freeman, a longtime chairman. One person's dead and another person in the hospital after a vehicle crashed on Bayshore Drive and caught on fire. Deputies had to both extinguish the fire and get out the people who were inside. Hamilton County traffic investigators are now investigating. And a man says he tried to commit an act of kindness by driving two men to a gas station from Appleton Pike, but they ended up carjacking him. Two suspects have been arrested. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on New Radio News. Like us on Facebook and get us on TuneIn.
Clear skies will continue through your nighttime hours. Chilly overnight lows 38 to 40. For Thursday, another great-looking day. Lots of sunshine, even warmer highs into the lower 70s. Tomorrow night, some more clouds. A few early showers Friday, then drier and breezy for the afternoon. Spring has sprung, and Glass Farm Nursery opens tomorrow. Your tree and shrub replacement headquarters. Glass Farm will bring life back to your lawn and garden. That's Glass Farm Nursery, Highway 11, 4 miles south of Trenton. And I'm Sworn Gene 12, Chief Meteorologist, Patrick Core.
On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Leadership can't be bought. Leadership is earned. Former Chattanooga Councilman David Crockett has earned the right to lead Chattanooga. David Crockett has the most successful record for getting things done of the 4 candidates running for mayor. David Crockett is mature, responsible, ethical, and has a vision for Chattanooga's future. Vote David Crockett for mayor on Tuesday, March 7th. Now is the time for true leadership.
I'm David Crockett, and I approve this message. Now's the time, Chattanooga.
If I'm the city's most intelligent man, it's because I take 2 shots of Mind Enhancement Complex every day. Nature's finest keeps me stocked with my mainstay, Formula 4. That's where I start. Formula 4. Industrial farming, soil depletion, mineral empty food. I just say no. Ask about supplements, health, stamina, circulation, heart, prostate under control. Get the Nooga Radio David Tulis freebie. Save $2 on every 5, 20% off. Nooga Radio, Green Highway, Nature's finest.
The American dream. Home ownership. Are you building equity for your landlord? Why not build that equity for yourself and your family? Rent No More is a no obligation, no cost program. It's designed to teach you the steps necessary and to coach you all along the path to home ownership. Integrity Mortgage Group is owned and operated by local expert Jeff Woody Woodburn. Jeff has been in the mortgage business for over 15 years, born and raised right here in the Chattanooga area. Jeff is also known as the Lone Ranger. He's helped countless hundreds. Really eager to help you too. So don't wait. Come on, call Danielle right now. You need to reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Nooga Radio is proud to partner with Integrity Mortgage Group to bring you Rent No More. Reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Stop building equity for your landlord. Live the American dream. Home ownership with Rent No More. We'll see you there.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
Competent, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a realtor, you want and need Thomas DeMoss of Keller Williams Realty. Thomas is a very gifted realtor who puts the client's needs first. Whether you're buying or you're selling a home, Thomas is the realtor of choice. Thomas will help and guide you through each step of this very important process. For many of us, the purchase of a home is one of our largest investments and most important family financial decision. Let Thomas use his 10 years of experience in the Chattanooga real estate market to give you the advantage you need when buying or selling a home. Buying a house, Thomas can help you navigate the emotional and somewhat anxious process of buying a home. For those of you who want to sell a house, Thomas uses his marketing and negotiating experience to help you sell your home for top dollar. Thomas is a local resident raising his family here in Hamilton County. He knows the area very well. For many agents, real estate is a job. With Thomas DeMoss, it's a passion and what he loves to do. Call Thomas today for a no-obligation consultation. He makes the process as simple as possible. Call 423-364-0028 and visit his website, northriverpropertygroup.com. There's a reason why Alliance Physical Therapy is a choice of professionals and those who care about first-class, top-notch service and treatment. Because at Alliance Physical Therapy of Chattanooga, we don't just treat the symptoms in your body. Whether you're suffering from stiffness, muscle spasms, back pain, chronic headaches every day, stress of life demanding more and more of you, Alliance Physical Therapy takes a holistic approach to healing mind, body, and soul. Alliance Physical Therapy with a location near you and 9 others in the Chattanooga area. If you don't have a doctor or if your physician's plan for chronic pain is not working, Alliance Physical Therapy will help. Visit Alliance Physical Therapy on the web at nopainpt.com. That's nopainpt.com. Alliance Physical Therapy. And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. Bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living. Not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is a field line failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. By preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache that may displace yourself and your family. That happens more often than you think. The waste is designed to stay in the tank, and that waste will build up over time. Even with treatment, we have to help that waste break down. Ultimately, preventative maintenance is the key that will keep you from spending $5,000 to $10,000 on replacing your septic system. Bottom line is to save yourself money down the road.
Call Ray at Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341, 421-6341.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. News Talk 1240.
Okay. This is about to be about the Redskins. Just letting you know, just a heads up here. I'm going to try not to take the entire segment talking about it, but we'll see how that goes. Because this is the team that I root for. So there's a lot of ammo in this particular gun. Let me start by saying, you can learn a lot from the bumbling of an idiot. You can learn a lot from the stumblings of a buffoon. You can. Because in their complete stupidity, in my entire lifetime, right? The last time the Redskins won a Super Bowl, I was but a wee lad. I was a child. I was 2 years old. I was also not yet a resident of Washington, D.C. I was also not yet a resident of America, and therefore, by virtue, not even a football fan yet. So even though that's a Super Bowl that I'm like, it happened in my lifetime, it didn't happen in the span of me being a fan of this football team. The entire time that I've been a fan of this football team, dating back to when I was 12. Before then even, probably not. There's never been a moment of joy rooting for the Redskins up until the last couple of seasons. Not a real moment of joy. Okay? This is a team that has been able to stink consistently for over 20 years. And the things that they've managed to do should be a lesson to other people. Like, I feel like people got smarter with contracts after the whole Albert Haynesworth signing went down. The Redskins were like, hey, let's give this guy $100 million on no evidence whatsoever that this is a great fit for us, and that he's even going to try real hard, and that he's got a bad reputation of being a bad apple and being lazy. And then what happened? He was there. He was a bad apple. He was lazy. He didn't try hard. He wasn't a good fit. Like, all of the things happened. I feel like people see that and go, yeah, You don't just overpay guys randomly, right? Like you pay guys that fit into your system. So you can learn a lot of great things from the Patriots being great, but you can also learn a lot of great things by doing the opposite of what teams like the Redskins do, right? I still don't agree with the assessment that they have mishandled the Kirk Cousins thing. Because if the Redskins had paid Kirk Cousins initially what he wanted last year when he played well for like 9 games, and Kirk Cousins doesn't work out, and Kirk Cousins isn't the guy, you kill them for spending too much money on a guy that's not the guy. You basically kill them for the same thing that we killed the Texans and Brock Osweiler. Like the sample size was too small. You can be deceived from watching 9 games. A guy can look really great for 9 games. Tim Tebow looked really great for 9 games. Not anybody, but like guys can look great for stretches. You can look great for 9 games. It's easy to deceive me for 9. It's not easy to deceive me for 9 and then another season. So I feel like the Redskins are going to get this thing worked out. And yes, Kirk Cousins does have all the leverage, but that's because he bet on himself. He took a very risky bet on himself that, by the way, lots of guys don't do. Lots of guys hold out. Lots of guys try and force a trade. Kirk never did those things. So Kirk took all the risk initially so he could have the leverage now. Folks, this is basic economics. This is not a team that's fumbling in the dark, at least not in that regard. Now, they're having some issues with their general manager. The stories are conflicting that are coming out about him. There are rumors that he wasn't enough of a yes man. There are rumors that he's fallen back into alcoholism. There's rumors that he was dealing with the death of a family. Whatever the reason is, simply GM does not make your dysfunction go away. All of the stuff about you that was dysfunctional, the fact that your owner is too handsy and wants to be involved in everything, the fact that your president of football operations got jealous of the attention that the general manager was getting. Like, when you see all of this stuff, changing out one part's not going to fix the entire thing. Dysfunction is something you need to eradicate entirely, which is hard to do when the dysfunctionality is coming from the owner. Which is hard to do when the owner is the reason you're dysfunctional. You can't vote him out. You can't fire him. And as callous and as cold as it sounds, you just kind of have to sit around and wait for the guy to either hate football enough to quit or to die. And doesn't look like Dan Snyder has given up on the hating football bit, though he does seem to hate any time football looks good. And you can learn a lot from this, right? For instance, the Redskins traded because they tried to get Robert Griffin III. What lesson can you learn from there? Well, you can learn that if you really believe that you found your guy in the draft, you give up whatever you got to give up to go get your guy. They also, in that same draft, drafted Kirk Cousins. So you learn another lesson. Take the best guy on the board when you see the best guy on the board. And when you see a guy like Kirk Cousins show up and he was able to step up and fill in for Robert Griffin III when he was injured and then ultimately take over the reins of the team, look, drafting multiple quarterbacks is not a bad thing. Right? It's like trying to win the lottery. If you really want a chance to win the lottery, you got to buy more than one ticket. One ticket is not going to get that job done. Your odds are already small. Your odds of hitting on a great quarterback in the draft are tiny. Draft lots. If you've got pieces on your team that you think a functional quarterback can work with, draft a few. Or go out in free agency and try and get a few. And all of these things are things that the Redskins didn't do expertly. They didn't do in any kind of wisdom. They just sort of bungled their way into it. And I suppose everybody else in the league can learn from it. And maybe that's the point of them in the league. Right? Maybe that's the point of the Redskins and the Niners and the Rams and the Browns. Everybody else gets to compete. We're just here to show you what not to do. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and NewRadio.com. I did catch a little bit of grief the other day I did not talk enough women's hoops, right? I was talking college basketball yesterday and how disappointed I was in the Mocs and the men's basketball team for the Mocs, and just them not really going to have that chance to make a tournament, even though I feel like they were more than talented enough to make it there. And the Vols have to go on some kind of a tear, right? Like they play tomorrow in the SEC tournament up in Nashville, and they're going to have to go on some kind of tear. They're going to have to beat Georgia tomorrow. They're going to have to probably end up beating Kentucky on Friday, and then pushing through that, try and find themselves on some kind of deep SEC tournament run to really make the NCAA tournament. So I was very disappointed that they were in that position. They're the ninth. They're ranked ninth in the SEC. Right? Very, very disappointed that that was the position that they found themselves in. And I got some heat for that because I didn't talk enough women's hoops, right? Like the Lady Mocs did win the SoCon tournament. They will be making the women's tournament, right? Like I didn't give them enough credit for that. And I'm sorry. I am. But I am uninterested in women's college basketball, which is a horrible thing to say. Because isn't today like National Women's Day? It's a horrible thing to say. I am not interested in women's college basketball, not one iota. And it's not because women's college basketball isn't entertaining and fun to watch. It is. Like that, man, I forget her name, but that one player that they have up in Washington, she's incredible. Right? She's good. She's going to be amazing, right? Like she's going to be like the WNBA, despite the fact that people don't really sit down and watch the WNBA. The WNBA has always been capable of generating some stars. You generate a star like a Candace Parker. You generate a star like a Lisa Leslie. You generate a star like a Diana Taurasi. And now we've got Elena Deladon. Like you've got like the WNBA can generate some stars. I think that girl's going to be a star. I'm just not interested in women's college basketball because of the thing that we were sort of talking about yesterday with the NBA. That a lot of people don't like the NBA and don't like that I talk as much NBA that I do on this show because the NBA feels like 5 teams have a chance, right? I think the doors crack open a little bit more in the Eastern Conference. I think legitimately Cleveland is the heavy favorite. But like there's a tiny chance that Washington and Boston and Toronto could do something. Like the 3 of those teams there, depending on the order in which they meet Cleveland and wear them down, could legitimately do something to disrupt Cleveland's chances if Cleveland is dealing with injuries, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that the chances that teams have in the NBA get to be understated. But like it always feels like there's 4 teams. It's San Antonio, Cleveland, Golden State, and that feels like it. I feel like maybe even 4 is being generous, but that's about it, right? If that's what it feels like. So take that feeling that you have, or the feeling that a lot of people have in college football, where it feels like look at the playoff. You know, Alabama's got one of those spots locked up, right? It feels like Ohio State. We'll see what they do with their quarterback situation this year, but it feels like Ohio State's got the other one locked up. Like, it doesn't really feel like a lot of teams really have the chance to make the playoff. It's one SEC team. It's usually Alabama. It's one Big Ten team. It's usually Ohio State. And then just sort of like sprinkle in whatever else. Sprinkle in an ACC or a Pac-12 because the Big 12 is not even close enough to competing. Right? Like, that's what it feels like. And that if you have trouble watching college sports because the championship is what you live for in that, I understand. The championship's not what I live for in college football. I like to watch the season. I like the carnage. I like making it to the playoff and trying to figure out who's going to wind up there. I've always liked that. Even when it was just a 2-man game. I've always liked that. Right? And the same thing for the NBA. I enjoy the NBA season. And the NBA playoffs are long enough that even if it feels inevitable as to how it is that it's going to turn out, there's always enough twists and surprises that at least it keeps me entertained. I feel entertained anyhow. So imagine you feel like the NBA is pointless. Imagine you feel like, well, it just feels like there's only 3 teams that can win. Multiply that feeling by 1,000. That's how I feel about women's college basketball. I don't get a lot of time to watch the regular season. A lot of times, there's a handful of big matchups in the regular season, and they all involve UConn. And then when you get to the tournament, it doesn't matter who makes it to the end because one of those teams is UConn, and UConn's going to win. Like, there's a 0% chance that UConn does not win another NCAA title. The chance is 0. If I could go lower than 0, I would go lower than 0. Right? Like, even when UConn has struggled this season, even when there have been moments where they've stumbled, the very few times that there were, they still win. They right the ship and they continue winning. Right? Like, Gino Auriemma has done so much winning at UConn. I don't even know where you like rank him on the greatest coaches of all time. Like, if you included every sport. Is he not the greatest coach of all time because it seems too easy? Or is he the greatest coach of all time because it seems too easy? I don't know. And it's hard to watch women's college basketball with the idea that it's not that I feel like in the NBA only a few teams have a chance. Or I feel like in college football only a few teams have a chance. Everybody in the NFL feels like every team has a chance, but really only a few teams have a chance. When you watch soccer or hockey, any sport, there's really like 4 or 5 teams that have a chance. Doesn't matter what sport you watch. There's only a handful of teams that have a chance, and it's more entertaining that way. I'm not even rooting for that to be different. Like in baseball, we like, it's amazing that the Cubs were able to win the World Series, but the Cubs at the beginning of the season were considered one of the few teams that had a chance. It wasn't actually all that surprising that the Cubs won the World Series. Like, we all had this feeling in the back of our minds, like the Cubs are going to bleep this up somehow for themselves, but they were one of the teams, if you just looked at the talent on paper, that had a chance. That's how sports work. A bunch of people are competing, only a few of you have a chance. If everybody had a chance, it would not be as entertaining. You think it would be, it would not be. Because there wouldn't be anybody that you'd openly hate. You just have a bunch of teams. And then, like, who could you say was the best team in the league if everybody's just kind of good? No. When a few teams have a chance, that's actually what you enjoy more. So why am I railing against women's college basketball? Because a few teams don't have a chance. One team does. And while that is sort of great for women's college basketball in terms of the attention that it gets, it only gets the attention to one team. Never mind that Washington's pretty good. Never mind. Right? Like, never mind that Baylor's been pretty decent. It just is bothersome. So yeah, I haven't paid as much attention to the Lady Mocs as I probably could have and should have. And I do apologize for that. But I do watch the women's college basketball tournament, or at least I used to. Back when there was some level of doubt as to who would win. Now there doesn't feel like there's any doubt, and that's not entertaining for me to watch. So I don't watch. It's great for the brand. It's great for especially UConn's brand recognition. It's just not great for anything else. Left with Keon Rose on AM1240 and Noogaradio.com. We're getting close to the end of the show. Now it's time for the parting cheap shot, the time where I look around at the world of sports, pick a guy, or a lady, but it hasn't been a lady yet. Which, if I thought about it, it being Women's Day and everything, I would have picked a lady. But I only found out it was Women's Day like 2 hours before the show. There was no time. And anyway, I don't know that there's any woman that would make me as angry as this guy makes me. And he's also been a parting cheap shot nominee. Like, this entire week has been repeat week. But the same people keep showing up. Like, that's not my fault. Like, if you want me to look outside of the box to try and find, no. I'm not here to make this job harder than it needs to be. When the news comes to me, when the news floats my way, I merely accept it. I don't make this job hard for the sake of what? Difficulty points? No, sir. This is how this works. So yes, he's been on the Party Cheap Shot before, and he's back here again, ladies and gentlemen, one Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen, to me, is an interesting study in a guy that's got a lot of talent, that's playing on a really good team, that is just all over the place. He just doesn't have it together. And to me, I want to know about guys when they struggle through adversity. Like, I think that the Kevin Durant injury is going to be actually secretly good for the Warriors, and I was actually talking to a friend about this. It's secretly good for the Warriors because the adversity helps. The adversity builds you on something, right? And then you get Kevin Durant back, and now you're a more tough team than what you were. You're a little bit more soft when you could just blow people out of the water by showing up. Now you're a little bit tougher because you have to be. Overcoming that adversity is great. Grayson Allen has had to overcome adversity this season, and typically that would be a great thing, except all of that adversity, every single second of Grayson Allen's adversity has been entirely self-inflicted. And there is something to be said about sort of overcoming self-created adversity is not virtuous. It's not virtuous if you light your house on fire and then put the fire out. Because your house should never have been on fire. Right? Like, there's nothing virtuous about racking up debt on your credit cards, all your credit cards, and then getting yourself out of debt. Like, there's a smart way to do this. Like, there is and I'm not going after people who necessarily had that problem. I'm saying, like, if you were buying like a PlayStation and a new car and everything, and all paying for all this stuff with your credit card, you've done all of these things, and you are paying for it with your credit card. Guess what? Guess what? You got a problem. And there's nothing virtuous about digging yourself out of the problem that you yourself created. Accidents happen, and sometimes people have it in for you. Overcoming those things are virtuous. Overcoming a Kevin Durant injury, virtuous. When Grayson Allen screams, throws a tantrum, and gets himself ejected or gets himself a technical, and then Coach K has to bench him, not virtuous. And now he's disappearing from games. We don't know where his head is at. Grayson Allen, the Party Cheap Shot goes to you. Because you keep causing problems, either because you're kicking guys or throwing tantrums, or your team needs you and you're just disappearing down the stretch. Can't have it. Project Keon Rose on AM 1240 at NoogaRadio.com. Bailing yourself out of the problem that you created is not virtuous. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch. And I'll see you in 24 hours.
Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott going around the outside. Michael McDowell puts a race front tire. Here's Mark Truex. The bottom. Blaney's walking off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Here at live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Fox News Talk 1240.
The voice of NASCAR.
Shane Wilson makes music to get your house sold. Get traffic to your house. Get calls. Strum up a bit of demand. One offer, just one. If it's right, it's all you need. We riff you through the usual tedium. Pre-qualified? Financing? We help you get it all together. $. Here's a simple we like. Shane Wilson with Remax Select Realty. Your real estate rock star. PickShane.com. 635-7779.
What kind of name is Herb Durante? Anyway, Herb builds storage sheds. He's in Naples. You can call him. His sheds are cheaper than other people's. And the surprise is, when you go look at them online or in person, they're sturdier than the other guys. Local economy at its best. Not shipped in from a factory in Minnesota or somewhere. Herb delivers. He'll set it up for free. Up to 12 by 24. Starting at $900. Blue, green, yellow, you name it. Pick a metal or shingle roof, and metal corners are standard. Make a Herb's Yard Barn bump resistant. The skids underneath, not 4x4, but 4x6, 6x6. On top of that, inside, extra beams for sturdier construction. Appison 503-3741. Appison 503-3741. On the keyboard, herbsyardbarns.com. herbsyardbarns.com.
10% off all in-stock inventory now. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis has the cash when you sell gold, silver, diamonds, rings, and jewelry. Sell Rick your precious metals today and lock in your price. Hey, Rick Davis will trade your cash for shiny, brilliant, and heavy gold. Gold cheaper now by $100 an ounce. Join the Rick Davis Silver Bonanza too. The price is so low.
There are no buyers. When the debt bubble pops, that's what'll happen. The good people, as I call them, will tumble down into their own trap. Join me, David Tulis, each weekday at 9. Together, let's consider solutions to national breakdown. Where do you fit in? Can you preserve capital? Increase it even among family members and small businesses here in Chattanooga. 9 o'clock, David Tulis, News Talk Radio. Can we wring opportunity from calamity? Will Chattanooga's prosper amid the death of centralization and its legacy system with its Yankee presidents, 1040 forms, foreign wars, death bills, soul-killing schools, and its grinding the poor court system? Nooga centrists such as I say yes. We say near is better than far, small better than big, personal than corporate, physical than abstract. Could these claims possibly be true? Are they seeds for future plantings and harvests? Let's find out. David Tulis, 9 weekdays.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting on. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take the risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd, right here and everywhere. New Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world. News Talk 1240.
Purpose Media Network's coverage of the NFL. Hi, this is Jerry Recco. Join Kevin Ray, Danny White, and myself for all the action.
News Talk 1240.
If it's the NFL, it's right here.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds. We'll give you Chattanooga and the world.